Hi, everybody. How are you? My name is Ryan Anderson. I'm the Associate Dean of Business and Entrepreneurship here at Mohawk College. And thanks for joining us today on another one of our snackable sessions. Today, we're going to talk about a really cool topic when it comes to entrepreneurship called, being and staying motivated. There are good days, there are bad days, there are busy days, there are not so busy days when you're an entrepreneur. And I'm excited to hear from two experts today as we dive into their tricks of the trade and keeping their motivation and strong, because as we said in many of these sessions, you really are your brand and you're your business, and your energy that you give off really will sometimes represent your business too. So without any further ado, I'd love to introduce you to our two guests today, Nadia and Melanie. Nadia, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me today. I am Nadia Ishmael. I am actually the owner of a boutique here in Hamilton. It's a holistic boutique called Stone and Shadow. Including a wellness studio where we provide holistic products here up in the boutique and work with energy sessions, sound therapy, and wellness coaching in our studio.
And I am so into this stuff now. My wife is getting me into more and more of these things. And we talked before about our generation of treatment over prevention. And this is such a great treatment model. So it's exciting to learn more about what you do. It really is. Good morning, Melanie. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm super excited to be here and share my story of Olive and Splash. Olive and Splash is a company that I own, and I started it in about 2015, 2016. We really started working it. It is a bamboo apparel line. So we make hoodies and joggers, tees and tights, and we fall under the Ath Luxury brand. We have recently come out with this really cool face mask that is like taking the world by storm. So we've moved it from coast to coast in the United States and Canada and Switzerland and Israel, Central America we're working on now. And this particular face mask is our athletic mask, the Infinity Mask, which I'll probably talk about later, which has been amazing. And we're also the first drive-through clothing line in the world, which is super cool and really iconic to our brand. So very similar to Starbucks or McDonald's, you can pull up to our window and you can order a face mask and apparel at the window. So I have a really cool story and I can't wait to share it with you.
That's fun because this whole pandemic has caused me to go online to shop, and I don't know, trying stuff on and doing those things, and you wait for a week and a half. I can't wait to learn more about. That's really cool.
We've taken window shopping to the next level. That's for sure.
I bet. I can't wait. I can't wait. We were talking before about motivation levels and energy levels with entrepreneurs, and Nadia, you and I in a side conversation earlier had said, there's almost two types sometimes. The ones that are very stoic and very polished, and then there's the ones that are just this massive high energy because that's what their brand needs sometimes. And I really believe strongly that you are your brand, and your personality and the shadow that you cast becomes what your brand is. But to do that, you've got to be motivated. To do that, you've got to stay motivated on the days when you probably may not have the energy, or you're waiting on a shipment, and the customers don't care. They just want you as your product. So, right. So Melanie, I'll start with you on this. What tips do you have to stay motivated every day and make sure that you're getting the best out of every single day? Because as entrepreneurs, days can't become weeks when it comes to poor motivation and things.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things that I do to stay motivated. Outside of work, rest and exercise is huge for me. So typically in the morning I run and I work out. I spend a lot of time with other entrepreneurs, because as an entrepreneur, it's definitely not glamorous and it's a lonely, lonely world. You find there are days where, the uncontrollable tears and restless nights, you question why you're doing what you're doing. And it helps to surround yourself with like-minded people to kind of give you that environment of camaraderie, because when I walk into my office, I'm not walking in with 17 other people to hype me up for the day and, get me going. So, spending time with like-minded people and other entrepreneurs has really, really helped me stay motivated, because they're able to cheer you on and give you that pat on the back that you probably don't get from your typical, say, office setting. And the landscape of business is changing so much, and so is that office setting, that it's trying to, weather those storms alone. And so spending it with like-minded people. And for me, my therapy is exercise. I play sports, I work out, and when I have tough days and, you just going to the gym or going for a long run has been a savior at times. So yeah, it's been really good.
The art and the challenge of unplugging and trying to realize and separate work from, non-work from work life. But as an entrepreneur, you never really turn it off, do you? But there's something, at least you can turn it down for a while. It's maybe the best way of putting it too, isn't it? So it's interesting too. I often will say our entrepreneurship community has changed as well, and that we're a more sharing community now. We're more reciprocal in the fact that we will talk to each other. The fact that you can tell us about a new initiative that didn't happen 20 years ago. People would keep things under their vest and not tell people what they were doing. Now we actually try find opportunities to collide and talk to entrepreneurs. And there's two people meeting today for the first time, and I'm sure have a great connection. And that's something really cool. It really is. Nadia, over to you on motivation. How do you stay motivated every day, especially at a time when you've both got retail, and retail is the one that's taken in many cases the biggest hit over the last couple of years. So what can you tell us as far as your tricks go?
So very similar in the sense of making sure staying active. It's a huge one. We talked about being flexible before, and ultimately being flexible is really important. However, also making sure that you're scheduling time for those things that are really important to you. So for me, it's a matter of making sure that I'm able to stop and reflect and review what's happening, how I'm feeling. And also, again, making sure that you're setting boundaries that are important for your self-care. Same type of thing, really, with surrounding yourself with people that are going to understand your world. As much as, the space that I'm in here right now, it is a lot about supporting others, being able to create a safe space for others to be able to talk about their concerns and their emotional, mental health and physical health, which can take a lot out of you. So if you're constantly being bombarded with that, it's just a matter of now saying, okay, I need time for me to be able to speak to somebody that actually understands my struggles as well. So that's a really big one. And also really just remembering why I started this. I started this because of my own passion, obviously, for creating. And outside of that, knowing that I was going through a lot of these emotions and physical issues. So going back and understanding that, okay, wait a second, I'm not just doing this to hurt myself even more by pushing harder. I've got to remember that I did this for wellness. And other people are here for that. And if I'm not taking care of myself, then others are going to see that. So really living the life that I'm putting out there as well, or recommending for others, and not staying in isolation. That's a big one. So being able to collaborate, being able to connect with other businesses, other people in general, family. That's the kind of thing that rejuvenates my energy a lot of the times.
It's incredible because both of your businesses work on wellness and on community, and it's interesting. We're almost perfect with our two guests today, because that in itself creates motivation too, right? Is to be better and get better. So that's it's a kind of a neat relationship there, if you will. I'm sure though, Nadia, I'll ask you this first. There's been times when people have said no. There's been times when people have said that's a bad idea. There's been times when something hasn't worked out the way that you wanted it to. And I know from speaking to you before and getting to know you, there's been some of that during the pandemic and things. And can you tell us about a time when your motivation and your positivity was really challenged in this journey, and what you did to sort of get around that? And Melanie, when Nadia's and I'm really interested in your perspective on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, it's I feel like the lockdown. The lockdowns really hit hard, as I had a big plan to be able to open the boutique and all of a sudden extend the hours, and all of a sudden everything was completely shut down instead of having the little time that I did have before. What happened was a major increase in the online volume of contact, inquiries, direct messages. Every social media app was blowing up. Website orders were blowing up. Things were out of stock constantly, and it got to be so overwhelming at times and at the same time, it wasn't easy to just bring somebody in because we're in lockdown. So one of the biggest struggles, which is, still a good thing. It was the amount of growth that happened, but not being able to manage it because, I wasn't prepared for that. So being overwhelmed in general, I think it's a generic struggle that we may have for different reasons, but being overwhelmed really, really hit me hard. And some days it was just like, I can't keep up. And I was so drained and so tired. It was unbelievable. So what happened is really kind of looking at the situation and going back to my project management, going back to the experience that I had in all of the other worlds that I in my working environments, and being able to say, okay, let me do a priority list. Let me make a task list. Let me do a yes and no, and what things can kind of get put to the side or postponed, and then asking for help. So I was able to actually bring people in virtually to be able to help with some of the administrative things and the online things, which was a huge hurdle for me because this is the baby, and wanting to take control over everything was really hard. So being able to trust a little bit more and also being able to take that risk if you want to call it a risk, to say that, okay, I'm able to receive help. I don't know how this is going to look, and being very open and honest with that communication, being able to do that. So I was able to bring in, again, some administrators virtually, helping with direct messages and things like that were not needed in here. And it was a huge, huge help, but it took time to
That's
get to
tough though. That it's tough when it's your baby to go and open up your doors, because you're not only opening your door to your business, but you're opening up the door to your heart and your passion too. And that's a challenge, isn't it? So it's I like the story there when you go and you say, I had tough times, I had times that were demotivating, but I actually was able to share, almost outsource some of those things too. It's interesting. Melanie, how about you?
So, like navigating through no's and pushback, and there's one that stands out to me, and it's our face mask that we came out with. So prior to the pandemic showing up to Canada, we came out with a face mask. I kind of seen what was taking place around the world, and I designed this face mask, and I put it online, and I had so much pushback from hospital reps and people in the community, including my family, that was like, what are you doing? You can't make PPE. And I was like, yeah, I think I can. And they were like, no, you need to take this down. Like, do not create a face mask. And this is before everyone and their mother was making a face mask. Okay. So I had gotten letters and emails from people high up that were like, please, like, do not do this. And then you have like community, like someone's trying to, make PPE that's not, valid to do that. And at the time, Dr. Tam said that you didn't need a face mask because that's when everyone was stealing them from the hospitals and anywhere that they could get them, right? So we didn't need a face mask. And I kept it online, and by the end of the week, Dr. Tam had come online and she said, any face mask is better than no face mask. And the company just went. And so, yeah, which was pretty awesome, right? So I had all of these orders, but this is during the first lockdown when no one was working. Like, you could literally drive out on the highway and like not a single person was on the highway. It was so eerie, right? And
I enjoyed those times. Yes.
Me too. And I went to every manufacturer that I'd ever worked with and said, can someone please make this face mask? I have all of these orders that I can't fulfill. And they were like, no, like, you can't make PPE. And one lady came back and she opened her manufacturing and called one person back to work, and they started making my face mask. And my face mask was the only mask coming out from this manufacturing plant. And we were able to fulfill our orders, and within 2 weeks, every brand and label that had produced at that manufacturing plant was producing a face mask, and face masks were then like just filled to the ceiling. And it was a very interesting time. And so I think perseverance and kind of sticking with your gut when someone tells you no and not to do something, and you feel it in your, your head and your heart, and there's so much energy around it that's like, I think I'm going to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was super scared because like that could go either way. And so this face mask was a great thing for our company. And then we were mandated that you had to close, so people couldn't come into your store, people couldn't, come physically into the building. So my girlfriends were like, I need some clothes. And I'm like, well, you can't come in, but you want to know what? I've got this window, come out to the back. And I whipped their bag out the window. And the minute I threw that first bag out the window, I was like, well, guess who has a drive-through? So I had one of the guys that works in the building to drive his car around. We made like the funniest social media video and we posted it. Again, going back to no's, people were like, okay, don't do that. Like, don't open a drive-through. Like, this isn't a drive-through. I'm like, no, it is a drive-through. You can drive around the building and you can pick up. It's a drive-through. And so we posted it, and then we had a lovely reporter from a smaller newspaper do an article on us. And then the larger newspapers did an article. And then it went to City News, and then it went to CTV, and then we had people like CBC writing about us. We were voted the best bamboo face mask made in Canada, one of the best startup companies to watch for 2021, and just like it just snowballed and snowballed. And so, you know, going back to no's, I had everyone, not one person, thought my idea was a good idea. And look what it spiraled into. And then we collaborated with LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. We caught the attention of Hudson Bay and HomeSense and Winners. So none of this would ever have happened if you didn't just stand and keep going with what you wanted to do. And now we have this really cool company that has a drive-through, and we sell this really, really cool mask. We now sell the Infinity mask, which is a breathable athletic mask that will never fog your glasses ever, and it will never muffle your voice. And so we have switched so many staff members from restaurants, hotels, and spas to professional sports teams that wear this mask. You're able to, there's three levels of protection, but you're able to breathe. You'll never get hot and sweaty. It's been really, really cool. I love designing, and I think I'm super lucky to get to do what I do.
Well, I will call you because I'm coaching my son's hockey team, and we wear masks on the bench, and they can't hear me yelling at them. So maybe we'll have a conversation. So I love the innovation. I think the message there, you know, no can mean I'll keep trying, and no can mean that I'll push forward. And I think that's something that really is the entrepreneurial side, isn't it? Is to go and say, no, I believe in this darn thing, and maybe 100 people don't, but I do, and that's all that matters. So it's interesting. I'll close our session up, and I'll you know, Nadia, I'll ask you first, and then Melanie, I'll come to you second, and then we'll say goodbye. But you know, passion and motivation go hand in hand as entrepreneurs, don't they? And they, you know, you have to be passionate, because you don't believe in this darn thing, you don't have a lot. And I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, and even my own career, when I felt like I was losing that, I knew it was time to sell, or I knew it was time to get out. And you know, what's that one tip, Nadia, that you would have for the folks out there to remain passionate and to remain motivated?
I think ultimately for me, it was again going back to remembering the why I started, and looking at the evolution, being able to take a look back at the journey itself for my personal, in my case, my personal wellness, my personal health journey, and being able to see the difference, being able to say I feel and look and, you know, I am better than I was 10 years ago, which is a huge success story for me personally, and being able to know that I can make a change in other people. But for any entrepreneur, again, making sure that you are truly loving what you're doing, and you are able to kind of reinvent that spark every now and then by adjusting and connecting with your clients as well. It's huge for me. So
Love it. I love remember the why. I wrote that down because I think we can do that not just in business, but with family in our lives as well.
absolutely.
We really can. Melanie, last word to you.
Yeah, I will add on to that with, you know, staying motivated for me is, again, putting myself in environments of like-minded people, other entrepreneurs that can help like validate your everyday and bounce ideas off of, again, because like the entrepreneurial world can be very lonely, and motivation is key to getting up every single day and competing, right? So when you lose that spark and you lose that drive times, and it will happen. I think that when you can able to have a network of people, or even resources to reach out to say, you know, or to help and keep you like above water, I think that's key for me, and I think it would work well with everyone else as well that's in the same kind of environment.
So motivation to be competitive, and it's funny, sometimes entrepreneurs don't use the word competitive because they don't want to be a negative connotation, but I like that you just did, because
Mhm.
we have to be, because there's, you know, there's very few products that stand alone without any competition. So I like that quite a bit.
I grew up like playing sports, and I always say that sports is attributed. There's so many transferable skills from being an athlete into being an entrepreneur, right? You have an athlete mindset, and there's going to be so many no's. There's going to be so many setbacks and things like that. And no matter what the score is or how much time is left on the clock, like you compete right to the end. And this world is so competitive. And if you want to compete, you need to wake up every single day and compete. And it's so important. And so I find that my athlete mindset transfers all the time into everything that I do at work and who I show up as. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for sports for sure. And, or even just that kind of, you know, constant schedule, and you don't give up, and being coachable, right? So like, I don't know everything, and I know that and learn that every single day. So if I can reach out to even business mentors, and I'm receptive and I'm able to understand and listen and hear and be open-minded, like all of that stuff is crafted from a young age. In my particular case, it was. And so yeah, I attributed sports to a lot of my, I guess, success in the way that I show up to work every day, right? I'm super competitive, and no matter how crappy yesterday was, today's a new day, and I'm here and I'm ready to play.
That's a good way to end this. I love that. Thank you so much, Nadia and Melanie. I know that you're going to join us on a couple other sessions, but I really appreciate your wisdom today. You know, entrepreneurs sometimes will get sidestepped sometimes when they're not as motivated and not as they lose that passion. And a lot of entrepreneurs actually walk away when they don't feel that way before I think they may give that second chance. So I do appreciate the talk. And I look forward to you joining us on a couple other ones too. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.